Hello, sport fans. So this is part two of the Command Builder series. Um, why do I call it that? Because this is using ADO.NET objects inside ASP.NET web pages to do all the work. We're not calling a stored procedure to handle an insert statement. We're not calling a stored procedure that has an update set in it. We are letting a widget write the code for us. So we're going to use a date adapter to retrieve data. A date adapter Data adapter is kind of like, did you ever see one of those tools? It's a handle, and you could plug into the handle screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. You could plug into the handle a Phillips star diamond screwdriver. You could plug into the handle some type of nut driver thing. So a data adapter is kind of a handle, and you plug into it different implements, kind of like a tractor that you plug in different implements that can do different tasks. So the date adapter handles the running or the using of the implements. So the date adapter is going to run an insert, update, or delete command. Now, normally, we might be doing some coding there, but this command builder is a good friend of the date adapter. So when you make a date adapter, and when you do, by the way, you have to give it a select statement. And that's actually the select statement we run when we turn on the web page. Hey, go get my select star from. So go get my data from my products table. So by the way, if you are going to write SQL statements and stick them in your web page, it is a really smart idea to run them in your database first. So let me switch this back to mine. And so you would have to switch this database selector. You'd have to switch that to your database, and I'll switch mine to mine. And yikes. But it did change that there. So you have to run queries off of your database, and I run queries off my database, and you can't. So here's my tables. Here's my stored procedures. So here's my database. So of course you can only select data if there's data there. So if I said select star from CCC. It's probably just going to give me some. Yeah, we don't have one of those. But if I open my tables and so you have to have tables before you can query. So you have to have something there before you can query it. So I think this is under Featherman, my products. Yep, there it is. Yikes. Where'd you go? First one. Yeah, so go ahead and select star from. All right, so that's how you get the select star means get all the columns. Select star means get all the columns. But because it doesn't have a where statement is how you would filter the rows. So if I said where category equals shoes, by the way, in SQL, you use single quotes for text and dates. So if you have a where statement, you filter the rows. You could filter the columns by saying which of the columns you want to see. So you filter the columns by specifying them. If you just want all the columns, just put an asterisk in there, and so Now we get all the columns. Select star gets all the columns. And if you want to filter it, you would use a where statement. So if you don't have a where statement, you're just going to get all the rows. So the asterisk, gets all the columns. You could filter columns by just specifying them. A where statement filters rows. And that's the same as a slicer in Power BI is, we're filtering. So we'll see that in a minute. But so this select star from, it's a SQL statement and it works. And when you create a new data adapter, you need to give it a SQL statement, a SQL select statement. So by the way, you must have spaces around each of the objects. So if I were, so really, please test your SQL statements. Don't just type them in. Yikes! Don't just type them into the ASP.NET webpage because you have no error checking really. It'll just say, hey, we don't have one of those. So incorrect syntax. So even if I were to put that there, let's see what kind of, holy smokes, that works. Of course I'm a liar. So I didn't think, I would think, I didn't know that worked. So that's fine, except you can't have a space. You need a space there. And as we're just playing here, you have to specify the table. Of course, I'm surprised this thing is very robust, and so people sometimes put the brackets around things. So if I were to pull, sorry, I'm sidetracking here. If I was pulling the table out of the Object Explorer, it puts the brackets in there. So anyway, test your SQL statements in SSMS, please, before you just put them in data adapter. So when you create a data adapter, it runs a SQL statement, and I do recommend putting spaces between everything, just like occasionally. Yeah, just like it's nice to hit enter in your emails, like every 3 or 4 sentences, hit enter 2 times so you break things into sections. Here we break our keywords into sections. Select, that's its own thing. From, that's its own thing. All right, so the question is, how did that data get on the page when you turned the thing on? How did that data get there? Okay, that's our question. Well, the answer is, when we ran our INIT procedure, we ran this get full product list procedure. Now this get full product list procedure does not have a handles clause, so it doesn't run in respond to an event like this this procedure runs in response to the event that the web page started. Initialization, INIT, is the first time you see the web page. So there's no handles here, which means you could just call this procedure anytime you want. And I do like to put the word call there, even though that's optional. But I'm calling this procedure. So why are you doing that? Because if you have code that you might run at different places in your program, you can package up that code and just run it from different places. Write once, run many. So when I turn on the web page, get me my list. And when I add a new line item, get me a refreshed list. If I were to delete a line item, go ahead and delete, after you delete the line item, go ahead and get me a refreshed list. So this get me a list, which is this procedure here, probably will be, needing to be run at different places. So rather than have this code, I don't know, that's about 10 lines of code, rather than have that 10 lines of code in many different places, in many different procedures, of this web page, we put it in one procedure, and then we call it, and that procedure does not have a handle, so you can call this procedure. So let me just see where else I call this procedure. So Control F is find, Control H is search and replace. So after we clear the form, we call the procedure to see the full list. And maybe that's it for now. After we add a product, we'll also call this procedure. So this piece of code, just this code section can be run from many different places just by saying, hey, go run that procedure. In this case, get a full product list. So all right, so what's going on here? Let's just start at the top. Before I get into how does this thing work, let me explain what the parts are. We have a connection. So please use this way of writing the connection, not the way in the older videos. So things change this semester, 2025 fall. So you need your connection to look like this, and your catalog would be MF57, the one assigned to you for this class. So you pretty much run select statements, or you run commands over the connection. The connection specifies what server, what database, and authenticates you. Now we're lucky now. This integrated security passes in your user ID and password from when you logged into the virtual desktop. So that's nice. All right, so we're going to use a data adapter. Again, a data adapter runs SQL statements called SQL commands, and the data adapter runs SQL commands. Well, we're not going to have to write those SQL commands, an insert, an update. We might have to do a delete, have to think about that. But this amazing widget called the Command Builder supports the data adapter. So you're not going to see me write an insert statement, insert into products table, and that would make things pretty complex because we'd have input parameters, which we're going to touch on a little bit, but not that hard. So we're kind of taking the easy way out here. For an intro class, that's okay, but I do encourage you to learn the insert statements that we put into stored procedures. That's a whole nother way of doing it. But the Command Builder series uses the SQL Command Builder, and that writes the insert, update, delete statements for us. Now we still write the select statement when we do the data adapter, but the Command Builder is going to write the other insert, update, and delete statements. So those are the four things we're going to do with select statements: select, insert, update, delete. So pretty much a data adapter, when we turn on the computer, the data adapter is going to run its select statement and go fetch data from the database, my database, and then yours would say, probably yours would just say your table name. If that didn't work, then you would put this is an old table, so I use the schema Featherman, but usually it's DBO dot. So if you don't get data, you might have to put in the DBO dot in front of it, which means it's the schema owner, the database owner. May need it, may not need it. One of these is going to work. When you turn on the computer, we're going to run this get full product list, which is going to run this data adapter, which is going to go get the data from the database and go stick it in this data table, and then we're going to display it. So when you get data, it stores it in memory in a data table, and then the data table is shown in this grid view, and that's how this data gets in the grid view out. We'll see you in part 3.